In the quiet heart of a small Nigerian village, nestled deep within the lush, green folds of the Niger Delta, there was a mysterious river called Idemili. It glistened under the midday sun and flowed with a rhythm that seemed to whisper secrets to the trees that leaned toward it. The villagers believed the river was sacred, powerful, and unforgiving. A law had been passed down for generations: no one must enter the river on a market day. It was said that the river claimed lives on such days, pulling intruders into its depths, never to return. But behind the silence of the water and the fear that gripped the hearts of villagers, there was a secret hidden deep beneath the waves: Maria, a river spirit. She was a mermaid, mummy water, with glowing fair skin like ivory, long curly hair that flowed behind her like a wave, and eyes as deep and blue as the ocean. Her beauty was so enchanting that even the sun paused to admire her when it passed overhead. Maria was not just a guardian of the river. She was its soul. Born of the waters, her laughter echoed through the currents, and her songs could call fish from the sea. She had watched over the river for centuries, punishing intruders and protecting her sacred domain. She had never known love, only duty, power, and solitude. Until Hugo. Hugo was a young farmer, quiet but strong, respected in the village for his hard work. He had recently returned from the city where he had tried, unsuccessfully, to find a better life. His hands bore the calluses of a man who knew the soil, and his heart still ached from dreams unfulfilled. One fateful market day, Hugo had gone to the stream early in the morning to fetch water. The stream was far from the river, but on his way back, he was overcome by thirst and decided to take a detour. The sun was high and unforgiving, and his water calabash was nearly empty. He found himself standing at the edge of the forbidden Idemili River. Without remembering the village warning, he knelt and dipped his calabash into the water. The moment the cool water touched his lips, the river stirred. A sudden breeze swept through the trees, birds scattered into the sky, and the surface of the water began to ripple like it had a heartbeat. The villagers who saw him from afar gasped. "Hugo is lost," they whispered, shaking their heads in sorrow. But instead of drowning or disappearing, Hugo stood up, filled his calabash, and walked away. No screams, no pull of unseen hands, no trace of misfortune. That night, the elders gathered under the moonlight. "He should not be alive," one said. "The river takes, it never spares." But Hugo had returned, silent and unaware of the miracle he had just lived through. Deep beneath the river, Maria watched him go. For the first time in centuries, she had spared a man. She didn't know why. There was something in the way he moved, honest, quiet, humble. She felt something stir in her. A longing she had never felt before. That night, she swam through the currents with restless energy. The stars reflected in the water above her head, and she sang a song not of the river, but of the world above. Days turned into weeks, and Maria could not forget Hugo. She wanted to see him again. So, with the power of the river coursing through her, she did something she had never done before. She transformed. Her tail vanished, replaced by long, slender human legs. Her skin remained fair and glowing, her hair still flowed like the river's waves, but she now wore a flowing wrapper and blouse borrowed from the spirits of the earth. Her feet touched the red soil of the village, and she walked, for the first time, as a woman. She met Hugo on the farm, appearing as a stranger who had just moved to the nearby village. "My name is Maria," she said, her voice like a melody. Hugo was struck. She was unlike any woman he had ever seen. Her grace, her quietness, her mysterious smile, it was as if she knew him even before he spoke. Slowly, they grew close. She would come to the farm every day, bringing him fruits, helping him with weeding, sometimes just sitting in the shade with him. They laughed. They shared stories. They walked along paths as the sun set behind the palms. And with time, Hugo fell in love. But he never knew her truth. Every time Maria left him, she would disappear into the woods, return to the river, and melt back into her true form, swimming among fish and river spirits, longing for a world that she could only touch but never belong to. Yet her love for Hugo grew, and her longing to tell him the truth became heavier than the waters of the deepest ocean. One day, Maria stood by the riverbank, her bare feet sinking into the wet earth. Hugo walked toward her, puzzled. Maria, you said you wanted to show me something. Yes, she said softly, her eyes sad. But you must promise not to be afraid. Hugo chuckled. Afraid? Of what? But Maria's smile was gone. She stepped into the water, deeper and deeper, until only her waist remained above the surface. Then she turned to him, and her voice trembled. I am not like the others, Hugo. I am not of this world. Before his eyes, her legs shimmered and vanished, replaced by a shining, scaly tail that glowed in the sun. Her long curly hair floated around her as the water embraced her. She rose from the river like a queen, her beauty almost painful to behold. I am Maria, daughter of the river. A mermaid. I spared your life that day because I fell in love with you. Hugo stumbled back, eyes wide in disbelief. His breath caught in his throat. The woman he loved was a spirit. No, he muttered. No, this cannot be. Maria reached out a hand, her eyes full of pain. I did not mean to deceive you. I only wanted to know what love felt like. I didn't think it would hurt so much. But Hugo turned and ran. He ran through the bush, past the tall trees, past the startled goats and chickens, past the women in the market. He didn't stop to explain. He packed his clothes, took what little money he had, and fled the village. He moved to the city, found a job as a mechanic, and swore never to return home again. But Maria waited. Every evening, she swam to the riverbank, staring into the distance, hoping to see him. But the path remained empty. The laughter of their moments faded like smoke in the wind. Villagers spoke of her still. Some said they heard singing by the river at night, a song so sorrowful it made the trees weep. Some said a figure, half woman, half fish, was seen sitting on the rock, combing her long curly hair with a golden comb, eyes full of longing. Others whispered that the river no longer took lives on market days, as though the spirit that once punished now simply mourned. And far away in the city, Hugo dreamed of a woman with fair skin and curly hair, a woman whose secret he couldn't bear, and whose love he could never forget. Maria the Mermaid, it became a legend, passed from one generation to the next, not of fear, but of love that was real yet impossible, tender yet cursed. And every market day, as the villagers walked past the river with their goods, they would lower their voices and bow their heads, remembering the spirit who once loved, and the man who ran from that love.